Whatever.
All right, what is up, everyone? So, God, last night was fun. I mean, quite the finale. So I'm excited to kind of dive into this. We were planning on doing a big discussion, and that's what we're having right now. Of course, we have quite the guest list. I want to start off with Adrian. Of course, I appreciate you being back.
Thanks for having me.
For y'all who aren't familiar with him, of course, playing Murmur and Arrow, of course, the first villain in Smallville, and of course, Emmett Burgundy in the phenomenal show that we just witnessed, Superman and Lois. So, yeah, and of course, we got Jedi Mike over here, and Chainsaw Reacts. I appreciate everyone being here, of course. I wanted to do something, that could be fun considering that we've watched this for the last 4 years. We haven't all starred in it, but it's been pretty interesting, and but it's cool. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any quick comments you want to say about the finale. Especially, I want to start off with you, Adrian. Do you have anything that comes into mind? I was rooting for a little Emmett Burgundy cameo when Lex was in the cell at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, we're gonna see him like across the hallway, just like waving or something.
Do you know what's so weird? Is I had the exact same thought, and why would I have that thought? Like I know that I didn't do that, but like I saw the jail cell, and I was like, oh man, yeah, that would be cool if like all of a sudden like Emmett came back. I was like, wait a second, I know I didn't do that, so why would my brain even think that? But yeah, I'm not very smart. I'm not very
like surprise CGI. It's like
well then I'd be mad because I'd be like, hey, I didn't get paid. But yeah. No, that was pretty epic. Man, and he's such a good Lex. So okay, just disclaimer, like I feel like a bit of an imposter here because it's not like I've seen every episode of Superman and Lois or anything. But I've definitely seen the last couple ones, and I saw the finale obviously last night. It was cool to see Lex be so badass. That was definitely a big takeaway. Yeah.
Do you guys have anything to say?
I mean, it was emotional. I think that's it was so. It's honestly one of the best finales I've ever seen of a show. Like of a show, not even talking like comic book. I'm talking show. This thing was too much, honestly. I probably was like, okay, guys, you got to stop. You got to stop. No, stop it. No, can't go any further. Oh no, we're not done. They're gonna open the door. No, don't open that door. Oh, and I know what's coming. It's like, man, yeah, I loved it.
Mike.
First off, I just want to give people flowers. You can also watch his reaction on Chainsaw Reacts of him, tearing up to the finale.
I cried.
Yes, he cried. Another one for the books, and also busy as well. Like it's seriously, reaction as well. I'll be doing a review later, on my channel and everything. But last night, literally, I was watching it, and then after I was tearing up, it was over. And my wife came in. She said, "Are you crying?" Like, yeah. I said, "Come here." I just want to give her a hug and a kiss and everything and stuff. I'm just like, I just say I love you and I'm grateful for you. Because like, again, it's also even with Smallville, which I didn't even know you, Adrian, you're gonna be here. Pleasure to meet you, by the way. It's like this is a part of my childhood, teenage years, now my adulthood, and like it's just the irony of like where I was in life, like watching Smallville. Now here I am as a husband, and eventually we're gonna be a father and stuff like that. So it's like being this point real time, and then what it was going through in terms of having a full flesh out story and just ended so beautifully. Really, it was sad, but it was a beautiful sad because of just the humanity of this finale. And that's what, and I will get into it and stuff. And I can't promise I'm not gonna tear up when you talk about a few scenes because I was this whole day at work, I was just
Adrian, was anyone cutting the onions when you were watching this?
Yeah, it was emotional. I mean, I was surprised that I knew, okay, it's the series finale. I knew it was going to be emotional, but I didn't know they were going to basically devote the whole final half to just like, everything that happens. Are you guys worried now that it's like, okay, so now we know what happens. So the rest of Superman's life So that's it. So there'll never be another Superman.
No, so I felt like it was like closure that we don't often get with shows. You know, it's like a lot of shows will do an open-ended thing where it's like, oh, well, maybe this character can come back and, you know, appear in this and maybe we'll get a spin-off, you know? But it's like knowing that there's still a 32-year gap where they can do something in the future. But at the same time, it was just really cool to see like the characters that we fell in love with actually have some sort of closure. The only thing that I didn't like, I thought it was so unnecessary to be like, then the cancer came back, you know, and then they could have just done old age, man. Like, I don't know what we're doing here, but that was my only kind of beef with it. But no, I think that to have them live out and to see like literally 50 grandchildren, which good for them for repopulating Krypton.
Right.
But, for all these grandbabies running around, I'm like, they got.
I was counting, like, how many? 9? Like 9.
I counted 9.
You counted.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that 4 on Jordan, 5 on? No, I
read a comment and it's funny. Basically, it said, "It's good to know that in later life, Jonathan Jordan didn't learn what a condom was." They took away from that, which is. It's funny, but yeah, I mean, some people took that as like too much. Like, no, I don't think so. Because if you're gonna show like their progression in life, and people are more so talking about the part where he rises up from his death and he's like seeing everybody in the house, and then there's a shot of the grandkids. We don't know those kids. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That is so important to him because the future of Kryptonians essentially is continuing in the lineage in some way. So that's important to him. You know, he got to have that. You know, he grew up with just Ma and Pa Kent, didn't have a family necessarily, and now he has all of this.
And it's to know that Emma Purgandi almost could have ruined the chances of grandbabies, you know?
Yeah. What? Come on, man.
You got to calm down, dude. I was kind of rooting for him because it's like, I'm not even sure what they were doing. If like Emma Purgandi's kid, Candace, was, you know, the wife in the future. I don't know what they were doing. I was just happy to see him, but they had someone who resembled Candace. So I was like, you know what? In my head canon, you know, her dad, you know, just, you know, let it be. He didn't come back and try to kill anybody.
Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe they fixed it. Maybe they worked it out. Maybe
he has the grandkids on the weekend.
Yeah, because then Emmett's DNA is mixed with Superman's DNA. Like, that is just
that's drama.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Your character had one of the greatest scenes with Clark before this finale. Yeah, 2. But that first one where he just stood up to you as Clark, I'm like, holy crap. And then you were there as part of probably one of the best moments maybe in the show was the reveal of how they did it. I mean, it was beautiful.
I think last time we talked, Adrian, I mentioned to you how important when a superhero reveals their identity, it's like such a big thing, you know. So for you to be a part of like not even just that sequence, but that's like history in a sense, you know, because people are gonna keep looking up Superman reveals his identity, and that's gonna be like one of the top searches. And it's such a big deal that even though you were in the show for, you know, a certain amount of time, you were involved in such important moments to not only just the superhero genre, but like to these characters and their, you know, their stories, I guess. But,
totally. Yeah. And like we talked about when we chatted last week, you know, I just feel so lucky that it worked out that way. Like, you know, it's just so cool that these important scenes, I got to be a part of them.
You're just like making your way.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Did you shoot a scene with Michael Cutlitz as Lex of like, cause he's the one that basically sent you, or, you know, what did you ever, or like was the only scene? Was there like a deleted scene, or was it just the point was to be a surprise and you just walk in the diner?
Yeah, no deleted scene.
Okay.
I didn't even know Michael Cutlitz was Lex until I watched that episode. No, until he commented on an Instagram post that I did of that scene. And I was like, I recognize that guy. He's from Band of Brothers, because I'm a huge Band of Brothers fan. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, right. I've never seen The Walking Dead. But yeah, no, there was no I didn't. I thought Emmett was done after the season
Mm-hmm.
3 episodes, and so it was a really nice surprise. Just first to hear that they wanted to bring him back, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then so they tell you, okay, we think we want to bring him back. Here are maybe the dates that we'll shoot, and then you don't get the script right away. And then I get the script, and I read that scene, and I was like, I said to my girlfriend, like, whoa, they gave my character a really important scene. This is really cool. Like, I was very stoked.
Yeah, and do you guys have anything else you want to add on to that?
Well, I will add to this conclusion. Like, last night is the conclusion, almost I believe a 20+ year, or I think, or either 15 year or so arc of DC television, of where Smallville going into being the first superhero show on CW, and now who we are with Superman and Lois, and you have a part to play in that. It's just looking back from it, it's like, how does it feel like you get to be part of this conclusion of this era of DC television?
It's kind of surreal. Like, I never would have known. I go out and I get the parts that I can get, and so I just feel fortunate that that I'm part of these important moments, and it's just cool because there's such, like, I don't watch a ton of superhero shows and stuff, but it's been cool to see how deeply invested in them people are, and how much they mean to people in different ways. Like, even with the revealing of Clark's identity, I think we were talking last week about like that can mean so much to so many people in so many different ways, because it's like a metaphor for a lot of things, and people, no one's going to relate exactly to being Superman, right? But people can relate to showing your true self and things like that, which I've really come to appreciate a lot of that. So
it's just so ironic, like, not only were you in the last season of the Arrowverse, but you were in the first ever episode of the Arrowverse with the first episode of Smallville, which someone else mentioned in the comments. You were also a part of Superman history twice. You're the reason Clark kind of, not only did you push him to use his powers for good, you were also a reason that Clark, had to come out and reveal his identity. So there's goods and bad, but you played your part, man. Killed it.
Yeah,
killed it.
I'm the Superman catalyst.
For sure.
Yes.
And
are you here to confirm you're in a Superman
James exactly
movie next year? Or you somehow have a role in that? Where you're gonna?
Yes, we're journalists.
We're campaigning for him. Yeah. We can get him to actually play a good guy, so he can kick some ass.
Ooh.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, that would be weird.
Okay.
That would be weird. Out of his element.
Just throwing it out there. Oliver Queen. Someone needs to play Oliver Queen.
Oh, that would be so fantastic.
Yeah. All right, universe, it's out there.
Yeah,
we're manifesting for you, man.
I mean, you already faced Arrow once, so you might as well, play their part now. Like, you know what? I'm a Green Arrow now. That's me. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so this episode was full of like a lot of emotional moments. Of course, we had a lot of different cameos popping up, but I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like, again, like you mentioned, so we got like the first half of the episode went by so quick with all of the action, whether it was the battle with Lex and Doomsday, and then the Bizarro and everything that went down kind of there. And then we dive in the last half where it's a majority of it's just dialogue, but it's so important and just so impactful. I kind of want to touch base on if you guys felt as though it was a good way to kind of end, because we ended on a good note, but then we did a 1-year time jump, which is like, okay, whatever. But then we jump 32 years into the future. So it's kind of a big leap. I don't know if you guys felt content with that, or if you felt as though they should have kind of did things a little different.
I wish more shows did this. Honestly.
Yes.
I watch too many shows where it ends and there's so much story to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, hey, dedicate whole episodes to future stuff after the show ends. But the way they handle it, because I'm thinking, as someone who's a fan of the Arrowverse, I wish the Flash did this. I wish Arrow, and I know Arrow ended kind of differently, but like I wish that show did it too. But then I think, but would it have worked? Because the way they've set up the show, there's so much storylines that they wanted to get to that they unfortunately couldn't due to budget cuts and episode cuts, and they weren't getting another season. So they had to find a way, hey, let's dedicate the back half of the final episode to a wedding, and then about 10 minutes of future stuff that gives you enough and leaves a lot of things open-ended to where you don't know exactly what happens, but it's enough. And I think it's the best way they could have done it. And I think if they would have ended it, say like, oh, here the boys get the suits, and then that's kind of that. I'm like, but I want more. Like I need to know, because we're not seeing these characters again. It's done. It hurts, but beautiful. Loved how they did it.
No, I agree with you. You mentioned like with Flash, because like Flash definitely like it's a type of character that you think whole thing was about family and also about time, and and especially now. I'm not saying I didn't like the way that Flash ended, especially him throwing the lightning into the sky, giving that passing that legacy over. But with here, this is basically what the last 10 minutes of this show resembles the first 10 minutes of this show. In season 1, where they recap everything for leading up to it. Clark landing, on Earth, him, his father passing away, him meeting Lois, him proposing to Lois, and then getting married, all those things. So it felt like a perfect like basically circle of life, no pun intended, but it's like it literally was that because of how this show started. And I saw some people comments like, it is kind of jarring how the fact they age up the kids and the different actors, they might as well just use the kids and make them look older. Like they're supposed to be 16. And I don't look like I was when I was 16. I have a beard. It's like, and this can't be Velcro, this, and there's aging here. But I'm saying like, no, it shows that because you're seeing in the eyes of Superman and Lois looking at their children growing up. Because we saw the first 8 minutes, them as toddlers, them, seeing, oh yeah, Jordan has anxiety disorder and stuff like, and then you're seeing those things growing into that. And so seeing that beautiful ending, like even these kids you saw growing up, no, they're married, they have family now, and that's the heart of this show, was family. So and even when he kind of like came up and represents the afterlife, they did a very safe way of exemplifying afterlife, in my opinion, because like we all get it and we're just seeing the send-offs, loss, same ending and stuff like they did in the series finale. But no, it was perfect, and also exemplifying the morals of who Superman is, being the strongest character in the DC universe, but not because of his strength, but because of his heart. And and we'll get into in detail about it, but like there was moments by moments where I'm like, it was beautifully paced, and I felt to have that ending shot with Lois, with Clark, it's a perfect way to cap off this entire DC television saga, if you will, just in a beautiful way.
Yeah, and I do want to say again, thank you, Adrian. I really do appreciate you being here. Of course, not only what you've done for the scenes you've been involved in, my reactions, of course, are doing well, and I love when
they're doing well.
I love when certain scenes can bring out those emotions, and like it's like I'm yelling at like a Patriots game, you know what I'm saying? But since they suck, I have Superman and Lois, so it's awesome, man. And I appreciate you reaching out and taking the time to be here and answer our questions and geeking out with us. I know this is probably different, because this is. We're all big into the superhero world, so like we truly do appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, we really do.
Thank you.
Again,
thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, man. Is there anything else you want to promote? Anything upcoming stuff you got coming out, or?
The only thing I'll say is that, and I think you've already seen this, but I as sort of like a little series finale celebration, I wrote a really dumb little song called the Ballad of Emmett, and I did a little post about it. So it's just like. It's just about Emmett being misunderstood, and actually, I'll send you the link right now.
I'll go ahead and share that, man.
It's extremely stupid, but that's sort of my way of saying thank you, Superman and Lois.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, thanks for letting me hang out with you guys. This is a totally different world, and it's just really cool to hear your guys' thoughts on it.
We'll make sure to share your song, man. We appreciate what you've done, man, and I appreciate you, dude. Thank you for being here.
Cheers, guys. Thanks. See ya.
Bye. That guy looks very familiar. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I think I saw him 15 years ago when I was like,
I think I saw him a couple episodes ago, and he was like, Superman, I'm gonna expose you. Kaboosh.
But so again, now we can dive into like some deeper stuff. Should be good. But so we start off the episode with Lana and John, which was interesting because again, we're in a point where the budget is really it obviously took a little bit of a dive, and they probably struggled when it came to writing, but it did not show. It did not show even a little bit. And personally, to me, call me a hater, but it made me enjoy the side characters even more because realistically, there was a point where I wasn't a huge fan of Lana. I wasn't a huge fan of Sarah. But when they're on screen in this season, they're forced to have them on screen and make sure that whatever time they're being utilized, they're forced to actually make some type of impact, whether it's to push their story forward or to push another character's story forward. So it just, I don't know if that was the case, but it just made them a lot more likable to me. And whether it was John popping up for a couple episodes or even Sam popping up, it just made all these characters popping up. It just made it meaningful. Even Kyle, when he popped up, I'm like, oh, wow, it's cool to see him again, and I've had my beef,
I don't like Kyle.
No, yeah,
I tolerate Kyle.
Tolerate.
I will say though, it felt jarring that Sarah wasn't shown at the wedding until like the random that was shot on a different day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So obviously the scheduling thing, but I think that scene's still impactful because it's just solidifying that they're not going to end up together in the future. It's clear that that's not Sarah. And
it wasn't even that. They kind of like laid sprinkles at the wedding. If they showed the camera on Jordan, and there's a scene where he's kind of looking around, clearly looking for someone. So even if that was shot a separate day, like it's just such a little cool touch that they didn't really need to do, but it's just like, wow, like it makes
or maybe
they
knew going in that they couldn't, that she wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, it worked overall. But yeah, I did feel the budget at times, but then again, if you watch the show before this season, there was a lot of time where there's not a lot of action happening. It's a lot of a lot of like story building and character moments. So it didn't feel like, but you can tell when they got to this last like bout with Lex and Doomsday, that was the budget they were saving the last couple episodes. That you could tell they were saving that, but it worked.
I think I watched some of your reaction at the end, and you were like, "Oh, there's the budget." I'm like,
yeah, because
there's the budget.
Because the shot of him lifting Doomsday up and then Doomsday floating back and disintegrating, and then him at the sun, that shit, you would see that multiple times in a season. It hardly happened at all this season because of that. I'm surprised they were able to pull this off, and the freaking 4-minute fight with Doomsday in the premiere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
And we, of course, have people that are going to make comments saying the CGI is terrible, whatever. This is a cable television show. And the fact that they're doing what they have done is extremely impressive. And again, it brings me back to talking about just the characters with John and Lana. When we see that little explosion, just seeing like them making the smart move of not necessarily always showing Doomsday due to, of course, when you have all that lighting, you got to make sure that the CG looks good. But they have that shot where it's dust kind of surrounding Doomsday and he's just wailing on Clark, So it's like there was just certain shots that just looked really well. But I do want to talk about the scene where kind of Doomsday kind of gives up and kind of forfeits, if you will.
Man.
That I think was done beautifully, especially because of the explanation where when he gets to the yellow sun, he becomes a little more weaker. So it makes sense that since he was a little weaker, Bizarro was able to kind of gain control. So I didn't mind the way they handled that. But how'd you guys feel about the way they handled that situation?
That it was, listen, that moment, that was the first one that was kind of like punching the gut of like, okay, like where this episode was, taking a turn. Because it was the simple fact of him, he was getting ready to give the final blow. Like, I had enough. But then, not only that, I think, because there's also, you can say story MacGuffin where the hammer hit his head. So that also could be like him kind of regaining, his sense of consciousness, whatever. But at the same time, with the sun draining into the point, he have some sense of control. But it reminded me, and this is for, old heads, for us, from Justice League Unlimited, where Shira, Hawkgirl, had to fight or take out Solomon Grundy because Solomon Grundy was under mind control and they were in the sewer. And to the point he had no more control over himself. But there's like the only way they said they can defeat him was that that Hawkgirl's weapon was the only weapon that could take it out, right? And there was a scene where she goes in the sewer and finds him, and he's just sitting there waiting for her. And he's actually the one that actually like trusts her, right, from previous episodes. And he's like, hey, please take me out of my misery. And then she comfort him, say it's going to be okay. and then she raised the mallet and then it cut away. This is a children's television, at the time, but that reminded me of like in this scene, he just said, "No, please, and let me go out because this is what I wanted now."
We got two people here. First off, we got one person who, was a little more emotional than I thought he would be. The homie Sam. Yeah, you can't hide it. And then, of course, Phil, I hit him up last minute. I truly appreciate him making it. What's up, man?
I'm sorry.
Hey,
I must have read it wrong. It said 8, right? Yeah, you said 8. Shit. I'm sorry. I'm like a half hour late, bro. My bad.
No. Don't even worry.
I'm in the middle of writing my review for Superman and Lois right now. I'm almost done.
We'll give you some ideas, bro. You can feed off of our thoughts.
Oh no, I'm literally almost done. I'm very close to hitting publish.
We just had Adrian on. He just left. So we got to kind of feed into his thoughts about him playing Emma Purgandi. But now we're kind of diving into like the main kind of our summary, if you will, all our little like thoughts on everything. And we were just talking about the Bizarro moment and him kind of like giving up. And I don't know if you guys have anything to feed on that or to drop any, if you guys want to drop any thoughts on that specific moment.
Wait, which moment is it? I'm sorry. Which moment?
Bizarre when Doomsday kind of floats back into the sun.
At the atmosphere of the sun, and you're like, hey, don't have to give me the final blow. Then you have the flashback of him in his Earth with his wife, his Lois, and his, Jonathan and Jordan. Yeah.
Just kind of accepted fate, it was a really cool moment. I wasn't a fan of the Doomsday look, but overall, like when you see where the characters stemmed from, it was a cool moment for that character. Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like, I haven't watched all of it and I've binged it in a very short amount of time. I felt like Bizarro, coming back from the dead, like he just didn't have any kind of purpose or drive. So he let someone, basically assault him to the point of just like self-preservation. And I think once he initially did what he did to Clark, it was like that was his only purpose. And then when he realized who Lois was and that she was still there, he kind of was like, okay, well, I don't know if I really even want to do this. And so I think it was this acceptance, like you said, man, that he just kind of was like, no, I'm done. Like, we can stop this. And I thought that was such a beautiful moment because it still showed, even though he wasn't Superman, his humanity that makes him Superman was always there. But it's really interesting how they did that.
And the one thing that I do want to mention is like the TikTok rot. Like I love posting the TikToks, but dude, like the scene of Doomsday going like this, everyone in the comments are like mimicking the song. It's like, wait, they don't love you. Like they're trying to add a dance and trying to make an edit for Doomsday. God. And I'm just like, we're not doing this, all right? Well, but what's up?
Well, Bizarro, he was forced into this because Lex forced him to go through this. So the fact that he regained his consciousness enough to realize, okay, I don't know, like I never wanted to be this, and I thought I was wondering how they're going to kill him because they already found a way to get rid of him to send him away. How do you kill him? So so it's always the constant debate of how they do it in comics and all that other. So I think this way it works because he is the anti-Superman. So I get it. But, I love that it wasn't like, oh, he just flew him up to the sun and killed him. Like he chose to go because he's like, okay, I remember who I am and this is not who I am. I was Superman. And Lex forced me onto this. Like Lex forced me to die over and over and over to become this.
And one.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, but go ahead.
No worries, bro. I was gonna change the subject.
No, this is just quick. This is the first time I think either cinematically or in comics, and please let me know if I'm wrong, that we actually see a Doomsday that has consciousness at a point where it was a person. Like, we had the Batman vs Superman. He was Zod, and then
how about the Smallville version?
Okay.
What's up, Phil?
Right. So very recently, they have done it's a very, very within the last year. Joshua Williamson. It's either the Action Comics book or the Superman book. The very most recent one, they turned a version of Doomsday into the Time Hopper, where he has become super intelligent, has an awareness of everything, and he is waiting to be killed one more time so he can be turned into this like omnipotent force who can fucking control time and space. It's fucking crazy.
Okay.
But it's a very recent thing. But since you mentioned that, I was like, oh, I just read about this. So
yeah. Okay. Because I just want to make sure I wasn't, assuming that I missed something. But you mentioned Smallville as well. I totally forgot about that. But like with here, this is a point where they're able to take Doomsday out. Is I know he again the acceptance of no, I'm done, and even after everything that this Doomsday did to Clark, which we'll get into another moment also with another villain character. He still gave him grace. It's like, or at least I'm gonna give you a gentle push to the sun, but I'm not gonna take you out of your misery just out of brute force. It's like I'm actually being kind to you because that's the type of person I am. And that was the first scene in this episode. That was like, okay, you're keeping reminded of who this character is, of Clark and his humanity, even though the fact he's in freaking space near the sun, trying to take out Doomsday, but still he still have a level of humanity. When someone tells him to stop, like, yeah, you're done. And it to me that's the part one I got choked up on because it's just like in the midst of our trauma and our pain, metaphorically speaking, of Doomsday, what and deep down inside, who are we? So it's like a moment. Are we still that person who, yeah, he just had a messed up relationship with his family on a different Earth, but at the same time, he still cared for his Lois Lane, for some, for the most part. And so it's like, and midst of all of that pain and suffering, he was still there. And that's to me, I think that was sad, really sad, in terms of how you went out.
Yeah, when they were showing like the flashbacks and all that, that was extremely depressing. But I feel like that's one thing that they really utilized in this episode specifically, were the use of like older scenes. So of course, when Bizarro was kind of becoming aware, we were seeing flashbacks to him in Bizarro World, whatever you want to call it, and then even when we were having the wedding later on in the episode. And this is kind of what kind of broke me a little bit, was when Lois was talking to John Henry and was saying, hey, like ever since you came to this world, you have been so important to my life. And then they were starting to show like Lois dying and him and Nat trying to just survive over there. And it was just the use of those scenes were just, I think it was brilliant. They did a fantastic job with that. I thought it was great. But after the Bizarro moment, we end up diving straight into the Lex moment. And I loved it, man. I loved the fact that we had a moment of a Superman kind of soaking in the sun. Like just seeing him just kind of like doing that was super cool. And then it kind of felt, I think it was the Injustice cutscene I'm thinking of, when you just see him in space and then you hear like Diana scream. And then that's when he just kind of zooms back in.
DC Universe Online.
Yeah, yes. DC Universe, that's what it was. So it was a similar thing with this. We have him kind of soaking it in, then he hears Jordan scream, and then he kind of dives into it, and then we have that's where we get that moment with Lex and Lois, when he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and she's like, well, not if he can stop it. And I just thought that was a really cool moment. But Lois, I mean, I want to applaud her, because usually we get moments where they kind of stick up, and I'm just like, okay, this is not like, I don't know what you're doing. But she was standing on business with that little hand grenade, whatever you want to call it, which I do want to say was extremely overwhelming. I mean, underwhelming. Like the way that they were hyping it up with John Henry, he's like, yeah, I only have one of these, but I promise you, like, does something great, like attaches to metal. It's gonna be insane. And then as soon as the bomb went off, it was like, oh, okay.
It does.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Well, they did say that the suit was laced with kryptonite, so
yeah.
I don't know. We do see the suit was damaged, but obviously he still shoots out the kryptonite screws, so that's still effective. So I don't know.
And he was flying with it.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if the bomb messed up something in the suit to where, because if it's laced with kryptonite, Superman wouldn't be able to knock his ass out like nothing or destroy the suit, let alone.
And that's so unique too. The kryptonite screws, like that's actually scary.
It digging into the skin.
Yeah, like it manually or automatically just drilling into your body is terrifying. And to see him actually having to like peel it out, I thought it was such a cool touch. And then when he finally broke it, I'm like, oh my god, this is some cool stuff we're witnessing, dude. Like, I applaud them for this. But that entire
go ahead.
No, I was just saying that entire sequence, because not only did we get a great moment with Superman versus Doomsday, but of course Lex and Superman, and I think these are some of his like top three villains when you think of Superman. I mean, you think for me, I think of Zod, I think of Lex, and I think of Doomsday. I don't know, and
Zod,
you see
Brainiac?
No, I'm thinking of Zod when I'm thinking of top three villains. But yeah, Brainiac I guess is up there too. I didn't even.
I thought. Oh, my bad. I thought we were talking about like in this.
Oh no!
Because like they technically use like a version.
Yeah, technically, yeah. I didn't even think of. So I guess we did get like three of his big villains. But I was saying like when I think of his top greatest villains, I think of those three. But the fact that we got to see two of them in the finale.
You know what's funny? It's like
yeah.
I read like while I was at the gym right before I came here. Apparently, it was either Tom Helbing or Eric Wallace. Like they were initially going to pitch Darkseid as the final season villain.
I'm kind of glad they didn't do that.
It would have been pretty big. It would have been kind of big for the britches. I think going down the route that they went down with the way season 3 ended felt appropriate.
Yeah, I think that would have been a lot. But honestly, with what they've done in the past with like the big universe, some of the other villains that we've dealt with, I feel like it kind of would have worked. But at the same time, I think with the 10 episode format that we had left, I don't know. I think that would have been a really big jump.
And it was rehashing Smallville, the season finale.
Yeah,
he's a cloud, so yeah.
That was different. Yeah,
I get it, but I'm just saying, like, it's still like.
Sure, yeah, I hear you.
You gotta remind him of
the Trigger and Sam over here, bro.
Possessing Lionel Luthor.
I have the quote here. I have the quote for Darkseid. So it says, we tend to end the season while we set up a new villain. It would have been fun to explore Brainiac a little bit more and go further with that character. I think we would have made a hard pitch for DC to get Darkseid in there somehow, which I don't know if they would have said yes, they wouldn't have. But we were going to try to come up with something super cool and to see if we can do that. It's hard to say that now, but Darkseid would have been like my favorite thing to do for sure. Which, I get it, but at the same time, I just don't. Yeah, and that's from Todd Helbing, the showrunner. So I just don't know how they would have done that.
Yeah, if they would have progressed the story down like a couple more seasons and let it kind of sink into that, it would have made more sense, because then you would have like both boys like super boys, and then you would have like a paradigm shift where like people's perception of what these superpowered beings are supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. And something like that, if it was Darkseid, like they would shatter the whole entire earth. So it would make sense, you would need a collective group. But that would have been something that would have required like another season or two. And I think the way that they handled it was perfect. Like
there was a part of me. Sorry, Sam. I don't mean to cut you off. Like that you're talking about it. Like early on in the season, like way early on, like episode 3, there was a part of me that wondered if they were going to kind of go down the Justice League route, and like the end reveal at the end of the season, this finale would have been like, what if it was in fact like a version of Brainiac that was possessing Lex Luthor, manipulating the events the entire time, and it's something like that. I saw a version of that possibly happening, but the closer we got to it, I was like, oh no, it's not. They're just going to keep it like Milton Fine's just going to be like a Brainiac in name, and he's just going to be superbly smart, a tech whiz, and it's going to be Lex and more or less Doomsday versus Superman at the end of it all. And I was like, okay,
I bet if they would have had more episodes, they might have maybe tinkered with that idea.
I think if they would have had more seasons and more episodes, they would have absolutely done something more with Brainiac.
Because this would have been his setup. Because he was just arrested. Correct. We don't know what. Because who knows? Maybe in the third 2 years, something does happen and he does become Brainiac, or a version. And
there are multiple versions of Brainiac. There is more than just the green alien from that fucking
so they
planet.
Could have done. And I think the idea of, okay, you set the Superboys, you have John Henry Irons, you have his daughter. Yeah, I think I could see those 5 going up against a version of Darkseid. But if you're going to bring on, like, say, a Darkseid that we kind of know, you would need to have more heroes. And they set this up from season 2 finale, which the big reveal. Oh, it's not on the Arrowverse. Different show.
Yeah,
it's not he's the only hero. So you would have had to spend multiple seasons establishing other heroes that could fight Darkseid.
And I like that, because I mean, with them having Starlight, and with them having Steel, and with them having the Superboys, it's been really cool to kind of see that. And of course, we got that last sequence with all of them, the Super Family.
That's crazy.
It was such a beautiful shot.
Like, they're missing a few characters. Missing Kara, missing Power Girl, Connor Kent, missing Crypto, even though Crypto's in it. But this is
I'm
perfect.
sorry, but you got to be happy with what you got. Like,
I am happy.
He never is.
What I think is cool is like they gave Jonathan Connor's suit.
Yes,
they basically gave both his sons 2 versions of Connor's suit.
But you know what it kind of looked like? It kind of looked like Jordan was wearing a leather jacket. Like I thought it would have been really cool to see him in a red leather jacket. I don't know. It kind of looked like that for a second.
Well, the fact that they already did that in Bizarro World in season 2, it made sense to do this. But
What's up, Phil?
So if you look at Jordan's suit, it's basically Connor's suit from the beginning of New 52, whereas Jonathan's suit is very much 90s Superboy minus the jacket.
Yep.
That's
and I do like there are differences though. You know what I mean? I do like that. But the thing that really got me more excited than their suits was seeing John Henry Irons with the emblem.
I wish we would have gotten a much better look at that. But
honestly, because we got a painting, like a mural on the wall, but that's not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But realistically, I thought we were gonna get it in the beginning of season 4 when they had, of course, the death of Superman. I thought Steel was gonna end up stepping up, and then we were gonna see the emblem, and it was like the world still needs a Superman type moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that shit would have been so cool. But just even see this for a little bit had me cheering. You know what I'm saying? Like, to see the cape, even though the helmet's different, it doesn't matter. To see just the idea of it is just more than enough for me. But
I want to bring something up. Maybe I'm crazy. On Jonathan's suit, the crest, I don't know why, but that first shot where you see the suits are being designed and they're kind of standing behind them so you know who's going to get what suit. For some reason, Jonathan's crest reminds me of Tyler Hoechlin's Arrowverse Superman crest. Like, I don't know what it is.
Very well could be.
I think, and I doubt that was they were doing. But I'm like, that looks pretty damn close to the Arrowverse suit, which isn't as good as this suit, of course, in this show. But I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah.
We were told that we were gonna get a cameo of some sorts. So I do want to say I do feel like that was like a giant troll, and I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. I wasn't holding my breath, so I didn't really care. But we did see Bitsy's husband pop up as was it Future John? Is that who he was? Yeah. So I thought that was a Future Jordan. Okay. Oh, I kept getting them screwed. I'm not even.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
No, I don't know. Jonathan. It's Jonathan.
Okay. I don't know. I kept getting them confused. I thought we got a Future Candace, but then I'm like, wait a second. The one that I thought was with Candace is apparently Jordan and not Jonathan. And then it started confusing me, but I'm like, because I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking about how the families were happy.
Did they ever clarify who exactly they married?
No.
They just said the boys got married. That's all they said.
That's why I was saying my headcanon was that it was Candace, but then now I'm being brought up that the one that I thought was Candace is apparently with the Jordan from the future. So my head is just
color is different. Yeah, it's hair color.
I'm not even gonna lie. I actually thought that was gonna happen throughout the season for some reason. Like I felt like every time like Jonathan is out running and stuff, and like Jordan's having to cover for him, and I kind of felt like everybody was gonna flip flop relationships, and they technically did in the season anyway. Like I was at the wedding. I don't know if you guys felt as weird as I did, but I was like, yo, this is a weird family, bro. like Natalie is technically Lois's mom, but not.
I just confirmed it's Bitsy's husband's Jonathan. I just saw the transition. Okay. It's
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well.
No, it is weird, you know, and I but that's still one of my favorite parts of the show. Like the fact that Nat got really comfortable with calling Sam like my grandfather, and Sam allowed it. Sam was like, yeah, like I got a granddaughter. That's awesome. It made it really cool. So which one is this?
That's Jordan.
That's Jordan.
Yeah. So that's not Candace.
No.
But I'm glad it's not though, because that's realistic. Listen, like USC.
We don't want realistic, Mike.
Listen, these kids supposed to be 16 years old, and you mean tell me I'm with the same woman I was when I was in 16? No,
they shoot lasers from their eyes.
I mean,
Mike. We're not talking about real.
My headcanon is if that's Jordan, that's probably Sarah Cushing.
I was actually thinking the same thing.
Okay. I was like.
That's my guess.
I was actually thinking that
they're not going to confirm or deny. They're just going to be like, "Oh, they got married."
A brunette.
The most unrealistic thing about all of this is the fact all their kids are fucking blonde.
Yeah. Nine children. I was like, how many are Jordans and how many are Jonathans? I'm like, it's like
I'm looking at this.
It's just a baby.
How does that work? If they're twins, is that? Oh no, that's only if the twins marry twins, right?
Yeah.
Then they would all be siblings. Okay, I don't know how any of that shit works.
Yeah. So Jonathan might end up with what's her name that he was dating? Jonathan.
He was with Candace.
Candace. So I'm guessing that's Candace. I don't know.
The blonde chick?
Yeah, I don't know. But maybe not.
Well,
she
dyed
her hair, y'all.
Would she? Unless she dyed her hair.
I mean, here's the thing.
I mean,
I kind of wish they would have.
It's not like exactly blonde. It's kind of like dirty blonde, to be honest.
I think we're focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah.
but it's a legitimate question because did they end up with the people? Because I always guess So I don't know if that's her. Maybe.
Probably
well,
not.
that's why the kids are all blonde, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
wait, that's Elizabeth Tulloch's husband?
Yes.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, that guy has voiced Batman in like 1 or 2 projects.
I kind of want to check that
Dave
out.
Gutiani, I think his name is, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that scene we were talking about earlier, busy with Sarah and Jordan, I think that was an implication.
Batman Soul of the Dragon.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go. But I think with that scene with Sarah
and the Doom that came to Gotham.
Oh, I did see that. I did see the movie.
Yeah.
But I think the Jordan and Sarah scene implies to me that they were not going to end up together, but maybe they did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
They both had different sets and ideas, like she clearly didn't, want to be there. She wanted to go.
You know what? Jordan's right
yeah,
because Sarah makes it clear, like, I'm not staying in Smallville. It's like, okay. And the boys are clearly either in Smallville or close
let's keep it real though. Like everybody that starts and leaves high school, like one person's like, yeah, I'm staying, and another person leaves to go find themselves. And realistically, over time, whether it's 20 years or 15 years, it's common they come right back together.
True.
It's a natural.
Well, in Kansas, maybe yes.
No, I mean just anybody, anywhere.
Yeah,
it's that happens.
I kind of wish they would have at least confirmed. But then again, if that's not who they ended up with, then don't explain it because it's okay. Then who are they? How'd they meet? What's the dynamic? Like
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Pretty much. And if you notice, the older Jonathan Jordan didn't speak once. No dialogue.
I did. That was the point, though.
They made a point not to do that either. So, and that's fine because the focus was the visuals and more so on the dialogue from Clark. It wasn't so much, okay, let's have conversation scenes. Like we had some small dialogue between when Lois was dying and then Kyle at the end, which I'm like, Kyle, really? For him at the end? But whatever. It's fine.
And I love, how old were they supposed to be there? Because I'm like, Kyle looks good for a 70-year-old man, man. Like, what are we doing?
They said 32 more years, and they're like, what, in their 40s?
They're in their, like, 40s, 30s, right? Like,
Kyle should be, like, walk with a cane.
Yeah. Like, they should have given him the ball cap, bro.
The Suns, technically, if they're 16 and 32 years passes, they would be about 48, 49 in that frame right there.
And they're definitely not that old.
Well, to be fair, the actor that plays Jonathan is 44.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, but on top of that, the Kryptonian blood, they
they also don't really specify before this scene where on the timeline, like, in that 32 years of when they had their children, right? Like that's kind of ambiguous.
Because we know he has the dog and all that, but we don't know.
We know Lois passed away a few years before then.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
My boy Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to keep that there a little longer.
Oh, yeah, the bed. Yeah, listen, the mama passed away. Lois passed away. Then Clark passed away on the same
Stop
bed.
Laying in that bed. Stop laying in that damn bed.
It's like, man, that is. Oh, yeah, and I hope, and listen, I hope that when he fell on the ground, it's like, yeah, ironically, this is almost the same spot where my dad, and I was like, oh, man.
Who else did you say passed away before Lois?
His mom.
His mom died in that bed.
Okay.
Episode 1.
He almost dies where his dad died, and now he's dying where his mom died.
Lois dies where his mom died. So yeah.
God. They should have burned that bed after. They should have burned that bed when Lois passed away. They should have.
I will say the makeup they did for Tyler Hoechlin to make him
that was good.
60.
That was good.
It was better than the Supernatural finale makeup. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
Well, also they could get away with it a little bit too because he's Kryptonian. So literally,
but
so it's fine.
I think the real W here is like making Elizabeth Tulloch believably look like she has cancer because that's kind of a difficult thing.
That was so unnecessary, dude. They didn't need to do that.
Oh no! I disagree. I disagree because listen, when we were at Comic-Con and like Phil was there in Hall H, was like when she was talking about we don't want to make a pretty cancer on screen. And that's the thing, because it's usually when they do
that. I was not there for Superman and Lois. I came in for Star Trek.
Okay, got you. But I had to wait a long time for it. But yeah, nobody saved my spot. I had to wait.
No, I'm not talking about the prettiness. I'm just saying like they didn't need to give her cancer again. That's what I'm saying.
That's real though. I
disagree. You don't know how cancer works.
I disagree.
No,
yes,
that's
real.
That's not the point.
Bro.
It's just that like we're at the end, like we're doing everything right. Like we're trying to give them a conclusion.
But the thing is like this is so definitive.
That this is realistic as you
I don't need no realistic. This is a show about aliens, Mike.
Yeah, but let's keep it real though, Busy. The reason why this show resonates so well and will stand the test of time than anything CW's ever done is because they made this as realistic and grounded as it is.
This is hands down without a doubt.
I'm not going to argue with the I'm not going to argue with the realism. I'm just saying straight up, it was depressing. I don't think it needed to happen.
I know, but this at the end of the day, I don't know how to say this without sounding really morbid.
No, say it. Say it. I want you to hear yourself say it.
The way that they ended this was so human. And I don't think that we ever had Superman to this level. I mean, I even in my review, I was like, bro, they're not gonna kill this man for real. Like he's an icon, like this isn't 007. They would never do this. They gave him an actual definitive conclusion with a legacy. Like even if she didn't get cancer or not, she was gonna pass away. This is reality. And they allowed us to be able to feel their story throughout the seasons, but be able to be present in this moment. And I mean, you guys are talking about different things, the way she looks and stuff like that, but I didn't care about any of this. I could care less about who, was with who. I was like, this is a real moment and this is happening. Like, I don't want my phone there. I don't care. Like, I'm experiencing how this man is truly able to, as much as it hurt my heart for Lex Luthor to rip his heart out and to stomp on it, it was also a blessing in disguise because he actually got to grow old with his family. Realistically, if that never happened, they would have all died and passed on. He would still be here.
Sam, have you read the story from Tom King? It's in the Superman Action Comics 1000 book.
Yes.
So Tom King writes a story where basically Superman watches everyone grow old and die, and he's left watching the world just fucking, and he's just up in space like, yeah, this is life, and it kind of fucking sucks. So to Sam's point, like, this is actually really fucking cool. I'm gonna say it, this is like almost on par with the Dark Knight Returns for Batman. Like, they gave Superman a fucking kick-ass ending. It's pretty cool. And this show is also easily 10 times the show that Lois and Clark is. Fuck Dean Cain. But like seriously, like, this show is called Superman and Lois. It ends with Superman and Lois, and it ends on its own terms. And of all the CW shows, this has without a doubt like the strongest finale of any of them, bar none. Easily.
And we talk about the moment where even on that scene, because this is the part where I teared up when Lex showed up, is sitting on the table.
Yeah, and then when they were talking about
and Superman's like, forgiveness, like, oh my god, man.
Listen, now Sam will understand this, but like, there's listen, whether your spiritual, religious background, history is whatever, there is about forgiveness is a huge part of our lives that we all have to come to a realization with, right? Shout out to a film, Exhibiting Forgiveness, my favorite film of the year. I interviewed a cast earlier last week or so, or a few weeks ago, but it was the fact that whether, again, this person was evil, like Tim. Yes, you took, you tried to kill my wife, kill my kids. You took my heart and stomp on it. But even then, I still have to forgive you, right? And then also the humanity of it. Lex was crying too.
Yep.
And it's the fact that, like, listen, he met his, like, he's life in prison or death penalty, whatever, right? But even then, let's say, he lived on, whatever, right? There could have been a whole arc of, not saying you have to redeem Lex, but like him actually come to realization of him, like, of actually feeling some type of remorse of who he became, right? And then to now it's like, I can't take back the people I've killed. I can't take back the pain and misery I caused this entire family because I have such a vendetta against this man who I spent my life devotion to destroy. Even then, and then the fact that he was crying, and I saw people reactions to it like, he shouldn't be in heaven. He should be somewhere downstairs. I get that. But listen, it's the humanity of fact, like, even the worst of folks have a arc in their story where it's like they come to realization that they is like they're waiting for somebody to forgive them, but they're holding them on this burden, and rightfully so. This is the bed that they made. Like Lex made the the decision he made led to his end, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like that moment, the fact that you have him crying in his house, right? It's the metaphor of fact, like life is about forgiveness. And even then, once I forgave you, he disappeared. Because this is also another thing. Reconciliation, we ain't called to that. I don't have to be buddy with you, whatever. But at least I have cleansed myself from holding you hostage and off of my, my leisure, what you want to call it. And now I'm free. That to me was so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that bothered me throughout the season is like the one thing that he was holding on to was his daughter. Even this really was the idea of his daughter, like this innocence believing in him, having this small grain of like, not humanity, but a human connection.
Yep.
And like the moment that he was in the diner with his daughter and his daughter was like, look, bro, I can forgive all this. Just stop. Like, and like, you can be with with our family, you can be with my child, you can be with your grandchild. And he still went back to, he's got to pay. That moment that he's crying right here, it led me right back to that. Like he's thinking back to all the different things that he truly sacrificed. It's not even people's lives. He could care less about that. But what he really did within his own family and then what was done to him, all that came back full circle. And it's very powerful. Because a lot of times a show like this, I would never thought would have a moment like this for people to even think about. And it'd escape a lot of different people because they were like, what the heck are you doing? But they built up a great story in these 10 episodes to lead to this moment being merited. Sometimes you do things like this and it's kind of like, oh, wow, this is a really remorseful thing. It's a Superman thing to do. But no, they built and showed you how much of a malicious, evil person this man is. This man stomped on this man's heart in front of his son and taunted him with it just to psychologically break him. That's the kind of man that is. But he also, the worst thing he really did is he turned his daughter away because he needed to have this vendetta for him. And it's crazy. It's really good story.
They even set it up too with the flashbacks, because in the flashbacks, like him divorcing his wife and everything, he had this false sense of like he's in control, and he thinks, oh, well, of course my daughter wants to stay here with me, not realizing that he's pushing everybody away. And so when he makes that decision to go, you know what? Yeah, I had this great time reminiscing with you in the diner, but I still need to go after Lois and Clark for what they did to me. That shows how broken and how close-minded he was. And even losing, I forget her name, his right-hand person throughout the whole season.
Amanda McCoy.
Yeah, man. So
Mercy
he basically, he was willing to kill her. He was willing to kill her because she wasn't just abiding by what he wanted. Because he's like, well, this is never part of the plan. Of course it wasn't, because Lex doesn't really care about you. He just gave you money because that was his way of saying thank you, but he doesn't care. So he was just gonna straight up murder her. He didn't care enough to even think that through. It's like, oh yeah, you did all this work for me, you did all this help and all this with the but you're not agreeing with this one decision of letting Doomsday go. So now I'm gonna kill you. That's who he is. Don't like the life, dislike it. Dislike it, guys. Dislike it. Come on now. Hit the dislike button.
Wow. Hit the dislike button, you dickhead.
I'm just waiting for when we end the stream and he says, who's that guy? Can't really do it because I'm not leaving first this time. So
oh nah, dude. Nah, I wouldn't do the bit. But I should have said it when that guy left earlier. Nah, I wouldn't do that now.
Nah, yeah. Nah. It was cool to have him on though.
Yeah, man.
What else do we need to talk about, man? We covered a lot, man. Is there anything else we want to get to?
I want to ask, like, how did y'all feel emotionally? Because, I mean, y'all talking about the in-betweens, but I ain't gonna lie, I was an emotional wreck. And I don't know, some of y'all have been saying, like, man, I'm still feeling from that. So I was curious, like, by the time that this ended, right, it's two different big things you got to be emotional about. One, this is the last superhero CW show ever. And if you guys started like I did with Smallville, to come to this is insane. But how they ended this, it was so different. And I really truly something is going to land. It's going to stand the test of time to me as far as one of the best endings on a show like this.
It has to, because to me it's not even one of the. I said this earlier. It's not one of the best. It's not only one of the best DC endings to a show, but it's one of the best endings I've ever seen to a show. Like, knowing this is it, this is done. I can't believe how they pulled it off, because there are so many ways they could have screwed this up. Because I think the last 10 minutes of the flash forwards needed to happen. I think it gave us enough to understand because every time a show ends, there's more to story to tell. Like, there's still more that they want to do. Yeah. So I think this is a good balance, because I don't want a show to end and then have 2 more episodes of flash forwards, because now I want more. You're giving me enough to go off of and make me go, okay, I want more, but you gave me enough. So I don't need, I mean, I do want more, but I don't like, it's not like I have to have it. Like, you gave me enough to understand where these characters end up for the most part. And that shot, this is where I started crying, right here. When that door opened, I was done. I started crying, man. I was choking up. I was like, cry right now. And I didn't cut it from a reaction. I'm like, nope, I got to keep this in.
Nah, it reminded me of Lucifer's finale. With the way, I don't know if any of you saw that, but it really reminded me of that.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same. Yeah.
Is that the dress she wore on her first date? I think.
Yeah, it was.
It's the same red dress.
That was the dress that she wanted to get rid of.
Yeah, she wanted to get rid of her body.
Yeah, so even more of a meaning.
Oh, that hurts. Oh my god.
And the best part is they had the boys open the door, not the older boys, but the teenage boys that grew up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I thought that was a good touch, because I mean, these boys are, of course, they're adults already. So having the new actors come in, I feel like really made more sense to me, to kind of show the jump.
Yeah. Emotionally, I'm saying, am I okay? I'm okay. I think I'm more of anything. I said grateful. Like, I mean, I texted Sam this, whatever. Like, literally after this, watching this, and I was tearing up. Then my wife came in and she's like, "You okay?" And I said, "Hey, I just come here." And I just gave her a hug, and I'm seeing him open the door, and I'm okay. I'm 1 year into marriage, so I'm just sorry. I'm still in the feels and all that stuff.
You're so cute.
I hope this feeling continues.
You're so cute.
But like, no, I remember when I saw my wife, on our wedding day, her in the white dress and everything. But then like seeing also just the trajectory of Smallville, and I'm taking more of a macro perspective on this, because I was very young when I was watching Smallville, right? And I related to this journey that this character was going through, and watching Flash, and I was in high school. Now here I am watching Superman and Lois as a husband, and as an adult in a position in my life, and seeing that him living this course of his life, wanting to have of this entire show, having children, watching them grow up, them having kids, and then his journey of him still trying to be a loving husband, but also just defend his family, raising his boys, right? That's something that I strive to be, right? And I think for me, this watching how that ending became to be, and watching in real time, was just also a sense of you just being grateful what you have, because it was also the dialogue. Life is about forgiveness. Life is about love. Life is about family, friends, all those things, right? And then it's just a moment you feeling grateful. So, and even then his last week or so was like, Thanksgiving, but it just reminded you, like, I remember what I was in life years ago, what I was like dealing with depression before I even met my wife, before I even met Sam and other folks here, and doing a part of myself that now everyone gets to see when I'm doing movie reviews and movie critic stuff and everything. It's like I'm now becoming the fullest version of myself, and I'm watching this character Superman becoming the fullest version of himself, but seeing the cycle being fully complete, which I feel we have not seen in this form of storytelling live action since to date. And it just made me feel grateful of me why I love these characters so much, because it just also remind me of my personal experience and my experience growing up. So yeah, that's where I was feeling today, just kind of feeling grateful. Yeah.
I think for me, for the longest time, there's that narrative out there, and I'm not saying anyone here perpetrates it, but the narrative is Superman is one of the most difficult characters to write. And I think there's a little bit of truth to it, but at the same time, it's really not all that true. I think the best way to write Superman is touching in and honing in on his humanity and what makes him a human at his core, even though despite that, genetically he is not, but from a moral standpoint, he is. And when it comes to this show, when it comes to like adapting Superman, when it comes to bringing that character to life, for the longest time post Rebirth, even after the fiasco with Justice League and all that shit, I said, well, to myself anyway, the best thing they could do if they were going to adapt Superman in live action going forward, make him a dad. Like, make him the father. Like, do what Dan Jurgens did with the character. Like, bring a Jonathan Kent in. Bring a child into the picture. Like, do that. Like, add a whole new element to this character to make him feel more relatable now in a more modern society than, in 78 when Christopher Reeve came in and did the character initially, or in 2013 when Zack Snyder took on the character, or even over the multiple times you've seen him on TV, be it Superman the Animated Series, Lois Clark, Justice League, whatever. Like, when it was announced that they were doing this character and they were going to give him children, I was like, this is a fucking step in the right direction. And this show paid that off in such a honest way. And it's without question to me anyway. Like, I'm kind of iffy on the first season, but everything else, like, this is one of the most entertaining superhero shows ever made on, a modest budget. And even still, what they were able to accomplish, my own personal criticism aside, with maybe something aesthetically or maybe something, in the writing structure of certain episodes or whatever, still, regardless, like, this show will stand the test of time as, dare I say it, one of the best adaptations of Superman ever. Bitsy Tulloch and Tyler Hoechlin will go down in history as some of the greatest portrayals to these characters. They will stand the test of time. They will continue to inspire because there is just such a wholesome good nature to the way they portrayed these characters over the course of 4 seasons. Like, and I don't say this often about Superman because I'm very touchy when it comes to that character. I see him in a very prismatic way, and I think he's more the world hero. And one of my favorite things, one of my absolute favorite fucking things in this finale was when Clark and Lois have that conversation of like, well, what is the next chapter of our life? And Clark asks Lois, what do you think people will remember Superman and Lois for?
Yep.
And she goes, truth and justice. And Clark says, and a better tomorrow. That right there. I was like,
I was so gassed.
I was like, that right there. That is the fucking Superman of today. That is the world hero right there. What him and Lois have done and what they show, like the whole 4 of the seasons thing and like the Samuel Lane Medical Foundation, like everything they did in wake of what happened in the finale, I was just like, this is exactly what Superman would do once he's getting ready to hang up the cape for good. And I say this as someone who fucking adores Zack Snyder's take in Man of Steel and BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I also really loved the Snyder Cut homage earlier on in the episode where Doomsday goes to fucking punch him. And Superman's just like, nope. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But again, to see this character given such reverence in such a short amount of time, I'm kind of like, would I have liked to have seen more? Sure. Would I have liked to have seen a character like, Brainiac, a Darkseid or whatever? Sure. What I got was exquisite in all the right ways. And Lois Lane's even wearing that's something she's worn in the comics, for crying out loud. Everything about this sequence was arguably my favorite point of it all in the entirety of the finale. Like, this entire conversation that they have after the wedding of Lana Lang and John Henry Irons. Like, I love this single conversation between the two of them. It's without a doubt the best thing in the finale, in my opinion. Overall, like, I'm still reeling in because I watched it earlier today. Unfortunately, some dillhole on Threads posted that picture of the whole super family and was like, wow, that's how you do a finale. And I'm like, you could have said that without posting the fucking picture. Thank you for
Oh, wait, when did they post it?
Earlier this morning.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yeah, actually, no, it was last night. It was last night, like an hour, it was like 6 o'clock my time. So it hadn't even aired Pacific time. And I was like, wow, dude, thanks for spoiling this one thing for people who haven't fucking seen it yet.
Here's the thing: the CW was spoiling it on their timeline when it was airing on Eastern. They were spoiling it. They were posting GIFs and shit.
That's so fucked up. That's fucked up because people on the West Coast are just like, yeah, we don't get to watch it for 3 hours. Catagraphs, fuck you. No one's staying off the internet, man. No one is able to stay off the internet. Come on, bro. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. I'm tired of that lazy ass excuse.
Oh shit.
People need to be more respectful on the internet. If the world can come together and collectively not spoil fucking Force Awakens, we should have no problem doing this for a goddamn TV show. I digress. Overall, I'm still in my feels for this episode. It's a fucking beautiful finale.
Just a little bit.
Did you cry?
Of course I cried. I told you I cried.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, Panagraph, fuck you. Fuck you.
No. Hey, we're good. We're fucking around. It's not fun.
Who the fuck is that?
Hey, I want to talk about because you know what kid that I hate with a passion. Do you guys know the backpack kid, the kid that did the floss for Fortnite?
Yeah.
No.
So he's like this this kid that just danced and got famous off of it for they made it a Fortnite dance. Yeah, you know this dance, Phil? He kind of popularized
I know the dance.
I'm revealing my age right now.
When me and my boy were about to see Endgame, this dickhead on Thursday posted Tony Stark dies.
Oh yeah. No, in high school. No. In high school, there's someone put it on the chalkboard saying, Tony Stark. Yeah.
You were in high school?
Wait, not high school. No, in college. Excuse me, at Mason, at George Mason. Yes.
Okay, so I have a Homer Simpson story. You know that episode of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson and Marge go on a date to see The Empire Strikes Back? They walk out of the movie, and Homer's like, "Wow, I didn't know Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's dad." And the whole line of people are just like, "The fuck? What the fuck?" Me and my buddy are walking out of The Rise of Skywalker, walking to our cars, and I was like, damn, I didn't know Snoke was a clone of Palpatine. And two guys are walking into the movie theater and they give me the fucking stink eye. And I was
it purposeful?
I had no idea they were walking up. Like it was just a fucking.
Okay.
It was just we had just come out of the movie fresh.
I was about to call you out on the double standard, Phil.
I was like, oh shit. And then they were looking at me all fucked up, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are going to see the Rise of Skywalker, huh?" They were like,
"Be considerate, Phil, man. Look, you
Reed versus Seeds comment above that. That's fucked up. Someone donated a fucking in the stream. That's terrible.
No,
that's bad.
I think, I remember.
So petty.
It is pettiness, but I didn't remember when it was like someone told me. I think it was like in high school when Batman vs Superman come out. Oh yeah, by the way, Superman dies. Like, what do you mean he dies? What are you talking about? I've seen this on Thursday. Like, yeah, I know. I saw it early today. I was like, what? It's like, yeah. So like
annoying, bro. Oh, I hate people sometimes, bro.
Spoiler alert.
I love that shot. That's such a great shot.
Spoiler.
Man really smacked the suit off of him, bro. That's
he did. He knocked the suit off of that.
That's so fire, dog. I love that shot, dude. And the way you see like the shockwaves from when he falls. Oh my god, such a good finale, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah, I think the thing that I can't like shake from this show is they tried to compromise Lois and Clark, like individually as who they are as people. And the first time, when he got into a fight with Lex and they try to plaster his name after he just outed himself. And then they try to present her as a liar and a disgrace. And I mean, in all honesty, everything that Lex has done, like I've never felt that Superman was more merited to take this man out. And he never compromised at all. Like he still kept to a standard. And I don't think he was just doing it for his boys. Like he needed that focus for himself. And he never compromised. And I think the closest he came was when he was fighting, Doomsday, when he's like fighting in space for like a long extended amount of time. But even with that, like he never compromised, which I thought that was amazing. And in a show like this, it's so easy to kind of have like, oh, he had this one bad day, he kind of recouped it, but he never did. Because as soon as he knocked that suit off of him, I was like, he could have just let him fall. Like, I ain't got to save you.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a Batman moment where he's like, I don't have to. Well, what did he say? I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you. What was it? Batman Begins when he did that shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna. I thought it was gonna be like. I was like, oh, he could have done that, but
Yo,
that's
busy.
not super.
Spoilers for a 20-year-old movie, bro. Spoilers for a 20-year-old movie, bro.
Wait, who said that?
You're just spoiled. Batman Begins. What the fuck, man? What's wrong with you?
Oh,
what's wrong?
I'm slow, bro. I was like, did someone say that in the comments?
It's all good, bro.
See, he could have let him splatter like an omelet.
Well, could have, yeah,
like an egg. It would have been crazy. But do we have anything else we want to say before we call it a day?
So there was all these rumors of like the cameo, and obviously we saw who it was. It was Betsy's husband.
Yeah.
Did y'all believe the rumor that Bruce Wayne was going to show up in the finale?
No.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
Honestly, I stayed away from it. The only reason I knew there was a cameo was because people kept saying, "Oh yeah, they said that there's going to be a cameo," but I didn't really. That's not where my head was at. Because people were saying that, I was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if we got like something small, you know, like a."
Well, I mean, depending on how you look at it, Batman did kind of cameo in the finale because her husband.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I consider the crypto more of a cameo.
Dude, that was cool. Yeah. That was really cool.
That was.
I'm glad it's just a dog. It's
my boy
not,
Shelby,
it's a dog. Yeah.
It's just, it's not.
Yes, Shelby. Yes, Smallville callback. Yes. Sorry, I'm a huge Smallville fan, y'all. If y'all were talking about that, I would have been nerding out.
The fact that he was like, "Why have I never had a dog before?" I was like, "Oh, that's cheeky. That's real cheeky."
Hey,
it's
did any of you review Smallville's finale?
No.
Because
I did, busy.
I just want to say this is someone who reviewed it.
Oh my god!
When it out.
God,
wow!
A little screenshot from 2011 over here.
Holy shit!
Putting our buddy on blast, bro. That's fucked up.
Yeah. Make sure you don't put the breakdance videos.
Oh no, we can't mention those on live, bro. What are you doing? What are you doing, Mike?
Jerry, I could see that as a possibility, but since this wasn't connected, it would make no sense why Stephen Amell as Spectre would show up in this show. It'd make more sense as if this was in the Arrowverse, but I mean it's in the multiverse. I understand that, but that's.
But how forced would it have been if it was like a Watcher situation where you just see the outline of Stephen Amell's face? It would have been so bad.
Now, it would have been stupid, but in the Flash it worked. In the Flash it made sense.
Yeah.
If you know who the Spectre is and you know what he's capable of, that's actually not out of the realm of possibility.
I know, but it would have been so forced.
It would have been fucking forced, yeah, but it still would have been like, well, it makes sense, right? For that character, like it makes sense technically, but I don't think Stephen Amell would have been like, "You can't pay me enough to do that." Ain't no fucking way.
And I can tell you right now, Canada Graphs would have known about it.
Probably,
so he would have heard about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, my boy Shelby over here. I think that was a cool little touch. Again, to see Superman kind of live, a full life, it made me happy, man.
Yeah.
I think.
It was
just the natural, like just the pure, genuine happiness that we saw in that last 10 minutes really made the emotions come out. Because before I even knew anyone was going to die, I was just like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. This is beautiful. Tears are already almost ready to come out. And then as soon as he was like, oh yeah, she was my number one supporter, or he said something like that. I was like, oh no. And then it's like, then the cancer came back. I'm like, oh fuck, so they did a really good job with kind of beating us with the stick.
The rest of her life.
The rest of her life, yeah. I'm just like, dude, this is a lot, but they did such a good job with this show, man.
They did a great job. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Is there anything we want to say before we end over here?
End of an era.
The future is bright. Hope to see you guys on Friday on December 5th.
It's pretty colorful, pretty grotesque, pretty shock value, yes, but emotional. And at times, very much so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If you thought Superman and Lois tugged some strings, just wait till you guys get to the end of Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, don't do that.
I didn't say nothing specific. Have you seen it, Sam?
No, I've seen it. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, cool.
cool.
That's why he's hearing over here.
Yeah. So
But,
I'm trying to be vague as I can be. But also July. Was it July 17th or so?
11th. July
11th.
Superman Legacy?
Yes. Superman.
Superman, get it right.
Drop the legacy because it's not
Superman.
a legacy.
Superman.
It's just a fucking Superman movie. I mean, what?
It's Superman Legacy, right? Am I tripping?
No,
it's just Superman.
It's just
really?
They changed from Superman Legacy to just
shit. I'm
yeah. When James Gunn started filming the movie, he announced on Instagram, like, it was initially titled Legacy, but the more closer we got to filming it, I was like, no, this movie is called Superman. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, I had no idea, dude.
This is actually technically the first Superman movie just titled Superman, because the 78 movie is technically Superman the movie.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is the first movie where it's just Superman, and I'm like, oh, cool. You didn't add a "the" to the title. Good job. Let's break that trend.
So I was gonna ask y'all a really random question. We've seen a lot of different Supermen, whether it's animated, whether it's a few live action. But where does Tyler rank with you guys in how they presented him to us?
Why you gotta ask me such a hard question, Sam?
I mean, it's a real one because I've been sorting it through my head. Like, dude, the way that they ended his character, and again, I brought this picture up for a reason because even his backstory was messed up. It was not a fulfilling end. It was a believable one for Superman, but it was really morbid. But the way that they handled him as a character and how Tyler handled it. Like, he felt like a real Superman, a real Clark Kent, but a real dad and husband. And I don't think that I felt that fully rounded with anybody. Like, I think that Christopher Reeve was amazing as Superman, right? And I think that, Henry Cavill was a very human version of Clark Kent and Superman. But I've never seen anything like what Tyler's done with this. And maybe it was the way they wrote him, but I think he presented it in a very specific classic way. I was curious y'all perspective where he ranks with y'all.
It's hard to say because if we're including all aspects, like all versions, like animated, live action, TV, movies, whatever, I would say he's easily top 3. I just don't know where he ranks. I have to really think about it. But I mean, easily he's one of the best that's ever done it. Animation or live action, regardless of where it landed, he's one of the best. No competition on that.
Like, I mean, I might have not been a huge fan of like Henry Cavill's story and all, but I just loved him as Superman. I really enjoyed Man of Steel. Like, I don't care what people say. I enjoyed that movie. And I don't know. I think it's really hard because, I mean, I feel like specifically with the way that they kind of presented Superman to us was extremely different, in my opinion. So it's having to rank them is kind of tough. I don't know.
I can't say because I met him. I met one of them. So it's like I like Man of Steel too. But all I gotta say is definitely my favorite television Superman. I don't want to make it seem like television is subpar. I'm just fitting in terms of category here. Animated is a whole different conversation. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. And again, it's only the fact that in a serialized show like this, live action, that where you are, you have to give respect to someone that when we have time to invest in a character, as the actor, is your job to make me actually care about the journey that you're taking, not just also the writing behind it, but also your performance. And I feel like even since then, even on Supergirl, that where he established that level of presence he has with his character, but he has a level of respect too with this title as Superman. And I feel like in recent years, though, again, like he definitely hold this position with so much grace. And I think humility in terms of the stories in this show that he dealt with. But also, I don't want to shy away. He also was able to, put the best performance he could as Superman. But that's because he had the best Lois Lane we had to date. In my opinion, it's to date, she's the best Lois Lane. There's a wild question in my eyes, and I feel like that's his strength also is because of her as well, and that's why I view these people as a pair. Like, hey, Superman and Lois Lane, and does that work? And their chemistry is what exemplify both of them in terms of their performance. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to next year. I think again, the two actors playing these roles for Superman again, even the Lois Lane as well. I am very, very excited because I definitely see these people definitely have talent in other projects I've seen them in, and I'm looking forward to see what we go for here in next July. And I'm excited, and I have faith. I have hope.
All right. Does anyone else have any final thoughts before we call it a day?
I think for me, because I didn't get a chance to answer the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, I think I'm kind of with Chainsaw in that I think Tyler Hoechlin's version of the characters is easily in the top 3, 5, whatever of any favorite Superman incarnation conversation. Like, if you were to tell me that Tyler Hoechlin was your favorite version of Superman, I wouldn't contest it. I wouldn't question it at all. Straight up, like there's no contest. I get it 100%. Even to like Mike's point about having like different versions, be it animated or otherwise. Like, yeah, it's a very difficult conversation. So it's like right up there with Batman. But I think for me, like if you ask me to rank live action ones specifically, get back to me after July. But as it stands right now, I'll easily say, Henry Cavill, probably Tyler Hoechlin, and then Brandon Routh right after that. No knock to Christopher Reeve, but like that's just always been like Christopher Reeve would probably easily be like the fourth one on that list if I had a top 5. Right?
No need to defend your opinion, man. You're killing it.
Yeah, but like for me, it's just like again, I've got a very kind of worldic view of who Superman is and what he's brought to the table, and like
yes, sir.
If you look at Man of Steel is like Henry Cavill's Superman is like Man of Steel is Superman year 1, week 1. Tyler Hoechlin's Superman is Man of Steel year 50, give or take year 15 to 20, week whatever. Like he's the seasoned Superman.
Yeah.
And if you told me Tom Welling, I get that, but he was in the suit for all of like less than 30 seconds. So was he really Superman?
Yeah. Did you guys see that he happened to be Superman for what was it? For 52 years? They apparently like the math added up to, because he was Superman for 20 years right before the jump happened, and then he lived for another 32 years with Sansar,
52,
which came out to 52 years, which I think is a kind of a fun little Easter egg.
It's always 52 with DC.
52 years of Superman, like those little bastards, bro. they're killing it, dude. But how about you, Chainsaw? Do you have anything you want to close out with, and any final thoughts?
It's crazy to say that this era of DC's done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand Superman and Lois was not connected necessarily. The actors were, but not so much the show.
Yep.
They said they were going to wrap up and do something or some sort of like something for the Arrowverse. Like they didn't, but it's fine. The show did what it needed to do. They had plans. Obviously, you could look for interviews for all of them. They were mentioning several times we thought we were going to be here for at least 2 more years or 3 more years. So the fact they found a way to close it out is insane, and it's unfortunate we didn't get more. But at least we can say, at least for me, they did not have a bad season. They stuck the landing every single time for at least me. And yeah, season 3 got a really dark with Lois' storyline, but they really made it work. And I think the way they wrapped up the show was just the best way they could have done it, because there's many things they could have potentially have done that maybe would have been cool, but maybe it wouldn't have worked, right? Because like the idea of introducing Bruce Wayne, why would you do that now when you could have done that a season ago, right? So I would have been cool, sure, because there was rumors, Elizabeth's husband's gonna play Bruce Wayne, which would have been cool, but it would have made no sense. Why are we showing Bruce Wayne now? Because now you can't do anything with him. So I'm perfectly fine with how they ended it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's crazy that this is kind of the end of it all. Arrowverse, of course, has been a big part of the channel, reacting to it and all that. When I first started reacting, I was like trying my best to try to get them out as fast as I could so I could get some type of attention towards the channel. And Chainsaw over here just kept beating me to the punch, man. That's how I ended up finding this channel. I don't think he slept those nights, man. He was just cooking.
No,
up
I did not. And
reactions.
my wife will contest that she was tired of it several days a week.
That's how I ended up. I didn't really watch reactions, but his kept popping up because I was like, who else got theirs up? Nobody else got theirs up this fast, you know? So big props to Chainsaw. But, yo, Sam, you have any final thoughts?
Yeah. This show was perfect, man. Again, I had only watched the first season in the past, 5 days or 4 days, maybe less than that. I've caught up from the second season all the way to the fourth season to catch up to last night, which is not recommended to people, but I did it because, to be truthfully honest, like if it wasn't for Smallville or a show like Smallville, I probably wouldn't have become a critic. I wouldn't have become a journalist. I wouldn't have even developed a media outlet in any way, shape, or form. And at that time, I wasn't doing reactions. I just loved it. And I wanted to talk about it and I wanted to share it with the community. And I think that I felt like I owed it to what CW did with that show to come back and at least see it through. And I'm so glad I did. I've missed some sleep, but it was all the worth it because I don't think that there was a bad season. I think there was small little gaps of time. Certain characters made changes, but the way that they rounded this out, I think the question now for me, this may actually end up being the best season, which was, I couldn't believe that. But
I got a call from Sam a couple days ago, and I think he just started season 4. He was like on episode 3, and he's just like he was kind of chewing me out for not preparing him for what the show emotionally brings because he only watched season 1, so he binged season 2, 3, and the first 3 episodes of 4. So the amount of emotional, damage that does, especially if you're watching it in like 5 days, it was just mad funny to hear his kind of background and everything. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like he's like, bro, like you didn't tell me that. Like you didn't tell me how dark it was. I'm like, dude, like I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but to see his kind of like progression and how the trauma kind of came up, it just shows like how good of a show this is, man. Like the emotional connection you gain with the characters, it's fantastic, dude. But yeah, I mean, I want you guys to go around and say where we can find you. Where can we find you, Sam?
Where can we find you?
You can find me at Team JVS on YouTube. If you want to talk to me personally, I'm Super SEL0320 on all social media platforms.
Look at Mike.
Can you put that in the private chat? That was way too fast.
I'm not.
No, you gotta do it. Yo, what's up, Super Crew? SEL0220. That's how he talks. Yeah.
So Mike was a fan of my boy Sam when he was dropping content.
I was a wee lad.
I'll just put it in the comment section. You guys can see it.
I'll highlight that joint. Yeah, go ahead.
You guys.
And Chainsaw Reacts, my man. Thank you for coming. Where can we find you?
Chainsaw Reacts everywhere. Council of Creators every Wednesday, and you see Phil on there most of the time, all the time. Busy shows up when he wants. Jedi Mike stuff is showing up more, and I'm trying to get Sam back on. I don't know, man. He told me privately, he's like, I don't like those people on there, so I don't worry about it.
I deny. No, I never said that.
No, he's like, no, man, I'm messing. Then he said, I'm messing, man. I secretly don't like them. But yeah, it's good, man. It's really cool and still, chugging along and just bullshit. So here we are, Just
and
day by day, man. Yep.
And Mike, where can we find you, bro?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and all the socials and everything at Jedi Mike 7. Got movie reviews, interviews that'll be dropping up very soon and stuff. You also see me on Team JVS as well. You see me on Council Creators, and you also see me on these other people platforms. You see my face. You see my face before on TikTok or whatever. You see my face before. Anyway, so but yeah, more interviews and stuff will be dropping soon at this link below.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me.
And Phil, man, I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invite. We haven't really talked too much since PAX, but yeah, it's always great to get catch up with you. Everywhere, right down there, unfiltered except X. I'm not on the Twitter app. I refuse to go back. Never going back. But I am on Blue Sky, Vero, Threads, Instagram. Yeah, Vero. I'm on Vero.
That's new. I never heard of that one. I'm being so serious.
Don't do that.
I never heard of it. I've never
Don't do that.
Don't do that. No, bro.
I'm not kidding.
As well as YouTube. It's also YouTube. You know, I got my Creature Commandos.
Zack Snyder's watching.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, my man.
The stream. I tagged him in the stream. He's probably watching. Don't do that.
Jesus Christ. But you know, my YouTube channel also is at Unfiltered. I'm usually on the council every Wednesday. I'm on the Vodka stream every Friday. Me and my editor Andy are also doing Creature Commandos reviews every Thursday or Friday whenever we get them out. So probably Thursday is when we'll do the first 2 episode premiere, and then we should have some more stuff coming down the pipeline with another person you may or may not see here. Matter of fact, Mike and I did one with our friend Ronan for an advanced review of Creature Commandos as well.
I tried to get Ronan in here, but you know,
he's too busy. He's too cool for us.
He's too cool for us.
Yeah,
he's way too cool for us. I also have a podcast, The Eternal Night. It's a Batman podcast. Nothing too special, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for the invite.
No, of course, bro. And again, of course, you guys can find me here. You can also find me on Team JVS, making reviews and stuff, and occasionally on Chainsaw's Council, which it's a pleasure to be a part of.
When I allow you on.
When he gives me the invite, when he allows me.
Yeah, not often because it's awkward as hell when he comes.
It's not for sure. It is, you know.
Yeah, man.
But again, I appreciate you guys coming here, and again, Adrian obviously left, but I appreciate him coming. Of course, him playing Emmett Burgundy, it was, of course, a blessing to have him on the stream and to talk about his experiences. So I appreciate you guys coming and talking to him and talking to us. And it's just great to have a community here to talk to. And that video, that episode was brutal. If you guys want to see me almost cry, you guys can check out the reaction. So feel free to do that. And
he cried.
Yeah.
Man,
I tried. Nothing happened, but almost. But
it off like he always does.
Real man,
it's a coping mechanism. I don't know why I laugh. I don't know why I do it. It just happens. It's sick. I'm sorry. But you guys have a great one. Thank you everyone for being here, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.